Hello and welcome to another video. So today what I wanted to do was a quick sort of live code slash design of something. And I figured I'd kind of go with like a AI retweeter sort of thing. It's not going to actually do the retweets. It's going to kind of rewrite the tweets. Maybe an AI tweet rewriter, we'll call it or something. So what I'm thinking is something like a sort of a let's say we've got a heading of some sort, like AI retweeter. Tweet rewriter, we'll call it. Tweet rewriter, apparently. AI tweet rewriter. So think about this as like a thing. Then maybe we have the tweet that you're going to paste. So let's say we've got like a box to paste your tweet in. Then we have a tone. Think of the type of tone that you want to do. So let's put like a little drop down here for the tone. Yeah. So let's say in this situation, make it nice and small. Let's say paste your tweet here or something. Wet again on my line. That is a bit sticky. Right. And then our tone here, so this could be like professional, witty, whatever we want, let's think of it like professional, witty, casual, motivational. Do you know what I mean? So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to put down under here, professional, let's say witty, casual. What else was there? Witty, casual, motivational, let's say. So what we can do, we'll have this as a drop-down menu with these options. What I'm going to do is like move those options across a little bit then. Come over here just to say, yes, this is kind of what we've got. And let's say it starts off with witty as a standard thing, let's say. But obviously it's just whatever you want in it. Yeah. So we have that and this little drop down. So then I just want like a button saying like, actually this might want also a little, maybe I want to do something like this. Let's move this over a little bit. I don't know whether it needs to be here or wherever, just somewhere so it's there. And then this is the tone, so I want to kind of a label for the tone. So I'll move this down here because that's the optional tone I'll have. But let's say we got a tone. And then that's the drop down. So we use the tone there. Let's put that somewhere here. And then we got our drop down. Oh, don't grow it. Let's move that over. Let's go over here. Well, this, I don't know what size I want this. I'll just leave it as it is, to be honest. Then we'll have a little button at the bottom. Maybe that'll be like this, where we'll kind of rewrite our tweet. Let's do it this way. Rewrite tweet. Got the two E's in there. So let's grab that. So imagine that's our button to rewrite the tweet. So I'm thinking something like that might be nice. Do you know what I mean? And then you kind of go to rewrite the tweet, for instance. That's the general concept of this, like, you know what I mean? So that's my thought. Now I'm going to be using Groq Cloud. This one's going to be like what I'm using. So I'm going to think about what do I need? I just want something simple. Something like Llama 4. We could use like Meta Llama 4 Scout for simplicity. Let's copy that. So that's kind of what I want to use as my AI. Can I just literally paste that in? Yeah, awesome. So that's going to be my LLM. I'm going to be using Groq Cloud to do that. Kind of keep it fairly straightforward, fairly simple. Just make sure that we're using something that works, something that should give us okay sort of information back. And then maybe when we click rewrite tweet, it then does some other little box down here with the new like rewritten tweet here. Like, you know what I mean? So let's do that. Let's say that's got a rewritten tweet. Oh, yeah. The rewritten tweet, and then it has the new tweet. Let's say, I don't know. Let's say we do some like, I don't know, whatever you want to do. Your new. Right. And that only appears like as a little thing when we click that once we've sort of put our text in, give it a tone, and then we click on the rewrite tweet. Yeah. Now I'm thinking for the stack, just to speed things up, I'll probably literally just use something like a Vite React app in TypeScript and just make this like a single TSX file itself. So this could just be like a tweet rewriter component. So if I say this is the component, and think of this logically as the component there, that's going to be the tweet rewriter component. Yeah. And that's going to be basically utilized. And I'll just try and start it in like some way, shape, or form. That's what my plan is. And now we know we've got the Groq cloud, so we can get API keys and just do stuff like that. If I go off and just go, okay, let's go on to Google. And let's say that we look for Tailwind CSS Vite. There we go. Simple, easy to follow, install those things, do the stuff. But the first thing I'm going to have to do then is I'm going to have to make a Vite React app. So that's fairly straightforward. I mean, I could go and look at the docs, but it's literally create Vite at latest and then go through the process. So we're going to actually do that. But first thing I want to do is I'll make a new GitHub repository. Yeah. Let's make a new repository. Call it tweet rewriter or something. Tweet rewriter. I'll keep ownership there. I'll leave it public so anyone can have a look and play with it. I'll add a little README. Let's give it a node. Git ignore, I'll keep it MIT so you can kind of just play with it and do what you like. It's not going to be production ready because I'm going to be using Groq SDK on the front end. So I'd advise against this for real world applications, but it's okay for a bit of fun and just something to play with. Normally I'd say ideally you'd want to have like a little back end and have the Groq API key and everything using only in the backend space, but this is just for a bit of fun, just something to kind of have. You could even just run it locally if you wanted to or whatever. So for now, let's do that. Let's create the new repository. Okay, so we've got that. I'm going to copy the link. Now what I want to do is go to my repos and open a command prompt. Let's drag this over here. Run my Git repository down. CD into it. And then we can follow that bunch of steps here. And when I say follow, I'm going to literally copy paste. Look, we've got install Tailwind, blah, blah. But we can't do that until we've actually got some sort of a React app. So to do that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do npm create Vite at latest. Okay, so it's going to pull down the latest. I'm just going to do dot. It's going to moan at me and tell me that there's stuff already in the folder, which is fine. What I'm going to do is I'm going to ignore the files and continue. Choose React, and I'm going to choose TypeScript at this point. So I know that I'm going to want Groq Cloud. So I'm going to, sorry, not Groq Cloud, it's Groq SDK to connect to Groq Cloud. So if I do an npm install Groq SDK, That'll give me that. Again, I wouldn't, in real world terms, use this on the front end. This is something just for me, just for a bit of fun, just something to go through live code and play with. If you wanted to look into how to kind of rewrite this then as a server client sort of thing, we can look into that at some point. But for now, I'm just doing a quick and simple live code before I start on anything serious and stuff. So while that's loading up, let's take another revisit of the thing. So we know we're going to need a API key. So I'm just going to go to Groq Cloud keys and create a new API key. This API key will be deleted probably before this actual video comes out. So it's not going to be a lot of use for people, which is why I don't mind sort of generating it in front of everyone and doing stuff. I'm just calling this witty sweet rewriter. Twet rewriter, apparently. Wheat rewriter. I keep doing that. Verifying that I'm human, apparently it's a thing. And submit. So now we've got this. I'll just copy that. Go back here. That's all done its thing. So I'm just going to go code dot and let it start up an editor. At the moment, I've got VS Code and I think Cursor. I think Cursor takes over the code dot thing anyway. So you kind of end up with copy Cursor instead. But we don't really necessarily need to use any AI sort of writing tools for this. This is a fairly straightforward thing. But with the Cursor tab, it may be faster to get out there and up and running. Sometimes, though, you got to be a bit mindful. Sometimes it'll kind of do stuff that you don't want it to, as in it'll kind of go, okay, I think you should have it looking like this, when no, you want it like something else. But sometimes it's really good for autocomplete. Yeah. So first thing I want to do is I want to go here, clear out all this stuff. Let's clean that out. So I've just got this empty space and save that. I'm gonna clear this out. Save that. And I think that's almost good enough for what I want. So my next steps is going to be, like I said, following the Tailwind stuff. So I'm going to literally copy this and do an npm install of that. Just the Tailwind CSS and Tailwind Vite plugin. Now, once that's installed, we actually need to add the plugin. So it's going to be like import Tailwind from the Vite plugin there and add it to the plugins. And that's done kind of directly in our Vite config now for 4.0 and above. So here's where we would have like comma Tailwind CSS, and that would be there. At this point, we can import it. It's trying to import from that. There we go, import from Vite. Well, that's fine. That's not what I want. See, it's trying to be awkward. It's supposed to be at Vite. This is why I said sometimes it's, oh no, at Tailwind. So basically, this is why I say sometimes it's awkward, because it's not doing, it wasn't doing directly exactly what I wanted. So sometimes it's best to actually type it yourself. But now we've got the React and the Tailwind CSS plugins for Vite, so that's fine. We can move that out of the way. We can go back and check on that. That's installed. So now we go down. We need to import Tailwind CSS in our main sort of CSS file. And we can do that fairly easily, index.css, and paste that in and save it. Now, basically, we have the ability to kind of do whatever. I'm going to copy this little hello world H1 thing. Obviously, this isn't showing it in Vite, it's showing it in kind of there, but that's fine. What I'm going to do is go to app.tsx and basically put the H1. Come on, seriously? I love it when it's just been so helpful. It's just not being helpful. So now we've just got a simple thing with a font bold, underline, hello world. Now we can find out, is this going to do what I want? Now, I don't need that to exist there. I don't really need to have a counter there, so that can go. That means this can go. There's quite a few things that can go on this. Really, I don't even need the app.css because it's not being used for anything. Let's have a look. So now we've got H1. It's an export default. I'm not a big fan of export default, but you can do it if you want. I'm just going to do an export, which means I also need to change this a little bit to have some curly braces. I also want to get rid of strict mode. Great for dev work, but it re-renders. So I remember it being one of those where it's like, okay, nothing wrong with strict mode. You want to use it, you use it. Who do you? In fact, really useful for certain debugging aspects and stopping like hydration thought process and stuff. But that's fine. So see, it's trying to literally make me put strict mode back in. Let's get rid of strict mode there so it doesn't moan at me about having unused imports. And I think we're in a good place there. So I'm going to save the app.tsx and let's just run it. Let's see what we get. Let's put this down here. Let's go. Okay, great stuff. I'm going to click on that. And so look, we've got a hello world with the underline, so that's working. So our Tailwind CSS stuff, we've got a hello world starter. Great stuff. The next things I need to copy this API key and make a nice little sort of .env file. So I'm going to make a new file called .env. And I'm going to do Vite. I don't think of Groq API key. Groq API key equals and paste the API key. Again, you can generate a free key from Groq yourself. That's not a problem. This key is going to stop working by the time you actually see the video, so I wouldn't worry too much. But now I have a nice little environment set up. I've got that ready. So now I need to think about, okay, what do I need? I need a bunch of tones. And what were the tones I wanted to have? Let's go and take a look at our ideation sort of thing. We want professional, witty, casual, and motivated. We've got witty, we got professional, we got casual, motivational, let's say. So let's do that. Let's make const tones equals, and we can just do this in a little array. Yeah, it looks like it's tone one, tone description. Yeah, that's a bit of overkill. I just want these to be strings, so it's not. Did I put no C in my const? Tones will say string array. And it's a string array. There we go. It thinks tones as in like, musical tones, but I think it's kind of cool, but not what we want. So let's say we want, let's say witty, let's say professional. Oh, it's got sarcastic, friendly, formal, casual. It's kind of made up some, which is fine. I mean, maybe we could use some of them, but I don't really want a sarcastic tone to things. So I'm just going to say professional. We'll still have casual. And maybe motivational. Again, add whatever tones you want to this. It's just a few ideas. Motivational. Yeah. So now we've got a few different tones. So there's loads of other things you could use, like friendly and blah, blah, blah. And it's giving a load of examples there. But yeah, we've got our base starting point for the tones. Now, I also want to kind of do this, and I'll probably break this out into its own sort of component realistically. That way you can just import it into whatever. That's probably makes more sense. But for now, I just want to get the thought process of what I'm doing and the general sort of setup. It's really trying to be helpful and make stuff. So I don't know what it's trying to do. Button tone, press the button with the tone. I don't think that's quite what I want. I don't want a bunch of buttons with the tone. I'm going to do a drop down for that. What I probably do want some state to hold a thing for the tweet, the tone, when it's rewritten, like what I want to hold for the rewritten tweet, and also maybe a loading state or something. So I'm going to, before the return, I want a few things. So I'm going to want some state. So let's say const tweet, set tweet, it's being use state string. That's literally exactly what I want it to do. So that's perfect. Tone is loading. It looks like it's guessing kind of what I want. That's fine. I'm going to need some imports. That's fine. But I also want a rewritten thing as well. So I'm going to just tab that so it imports. But I'm going to add const rewritten, set rewritten. There we go. And that's basically, there's just a bunch of these sort of things, and I'll just group them together a little bit. Handle, what's that saying? Handle submit. That's probably a thing. I'll probably call it handle rewrite or something, but that's fine. So I'm going to want to kind of make that sort of thing. And let's do that. Let's say can't just handle rewrite. It's going to be an async thing. Yeah, I'll set. Yeah, set is loading to true. I don't really need to do. I don't think I need to do a fetch. That's been a bit. Yeah, not what I want to do. Cool, but not what I want to do. Let's just close this thing like that. Now, I do want to set the is loading to true. I don't want to do the rest of that stuff that it's trying to tell me to do. I want to empty out the rewritten just in case it's already been set. So set rewritten to empty. Then after I've done that, I'll put it in a try catch because this could kind of break. So I'll put try this thing catch on an error, let's say, and put it kind of in its own little thing. So what I want to try is not a fetch request. I want to try to use Groq. So I need to kind of first set up Groq. So I've got to have Groq there. So I'll let it auto import. I'll just set up Groq somewhere here. So I'll say can't, let's say Groq is equal to a new Groq. And it takes basically a object. Yes, it's importing Groq SDK. And it's already kind of guessed what I want for the API key, so that's perfectly fine. One thing I do need to allow is what we call dangerously allow browser to true. This will allow you to use front-end things. So I'll say dangerously allow browser true. That means you can use it in front-end. Now, I would urge against doing this in production at any given time because you're kind of allowing people access to your API keys. If it's a free key, it's one of those, but I'd rather just say don't do it. It's great for like if you're doing it local, it doesn't matter too much because you've got it local and it's not. But if you're going to do this into production or somewhere out there, don't use this sort of process. And this is just a bit of fun. So now that we've got that set up, we can in our try catch. I'm gonna go. Oh, or now it knows what I want. It's like, oh wait, Groq chat completions. That's exactly what I want to do. But before I do that, I do actually want to kind of set up a prompt. So I'm going to say const prompt equals. I'm going to use some backticks because I want to kind of make. Well, it looks like it already kind of knows what I want. Look, it's really trying to be helpful here, which is great. I would urge you, if you know exactly what you want and it's giving you a correct thing as to what you want, then I'd just press tab at this point. Yeah. I'm going to press tab and edit it accordingly because I know it's pretty much rewrite the following tweet in the following tone. That's exactly what I wanted to do. But I need to think about the actual tone not being like that. I want to make sure it's lowercase as well because it's kind of in the following tone. That's doable. I'd say rewrite the following tweet in A. Say A in A. Let's think. Tone. Let's make it lowercase. Lowercase tone. There we go. And then I'll just pass it the tweet. So that's fine. Don't particularly want this on multiple lines as it's going. I'll just make this a bit bigger so we can see it. I'm going to bring it over here. Just for completeness, we'll keep that as the tone. And then we'll make a couple of new lines. And then it's going to run the tweet. And I don't need to tell it it's a tweet because that's what's expected after the tone. Yeah. So that kind of is a similar sort of concept. I'd probably want the tweet to, just tell it, hey, yeah. I'm not bothered about the structure and that at this point, just something there. So now I can do my Groq thing, and it looks like it's randomly added the completions. I don't want to use Llama 3. Remember, we chose what we wanted to use, and I chose that here. So I'm going to literally copy this and utilize the model that we chose. Let's get rid of that. Place that model in. Then I also want a bunch of messages. I need like system message and the user prompt, basically. So I'm going to add those in. Role system, content prompt, not what I want. Role system, content's not going to be prompt. So I'm going to just pop that again. It's like I say, it's trying to be overly helpful, which is sometimes good, sometimes bad. It means I'm editing a lot instead of actually just writing, but that's fine. So system prompt is going to be literally like you're a social media expert or something, yeah? So let's do that. Let's say you are a social media expert. Blah, blah, blah. We don't need to add that bit to the system prompt. That's fine. And that's one message. Then we want our next message is going to be the user. So yes, I'm happy with that. I'm not too sure about whether I want to bother about all the temperature and the max tokens and frequency penalty and stuff. I don't really care that much about it. You can add those things if you like. I don't particularly need it for anything at this point. So we've now got a response. We've got a bunch of messages. We've got the model that we're doing stuff with. We've got a try catch block. So if it fails, it'll kind of do stuff to go and go, okay, that's fine. Next thing I want to do is get the response output. So that's going to be kind of like the message content, and I want it from the first in the choices, which will be the 0. So if I say const output equals response, there we go, choice is 0, message content. But if it doesn't exist, I want to say or empty string, just to allow it to have that optional sort of ability there. Okay. So then once that's done, then we're going to set the rewritten to the output, but I want to trim it as well. So we'll do this, but I don't want to just do output. I want to do output.trim. That'll get rid of like the white space around the place and stuff to clean it up. Error tweet with the error, and finally set is loading to false. That's perfect. That's pretty much exactly how I would have wanted it to be. So we've kind of got this functionality here to rewrite the thing. So we're handling the rewrite, setting loading to true, clearing out the rewritten, trying to rewrite the thing. If it rewrites okay, we end up adding the things and setting the rewritten. Otherwise, we give it a little console error, and then finally we set loading to false. Super simple, basic thing, but it should do basically what we want it to do. Now we can run a few tests here. We could just add a little text area and try it. So what I'll do is I'll just underneath the hello, well, actually the hello world, I'm going to rename to what was our design, our super amazing design. Our super amazing design has got AI tweet rewriter and a little text area there. So let's do that first. Let's get that sorted. So this one's going to be AI tweet. You know when you want it to be helpful? There we go. I'm like, I want you to hurry up and read. Blah, 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 div, text area, value tweet, unchanged, set tweet. That's perfect. That's exactly what I want it to do. Placeholder, enter your tweet here. I'm going to edit that in a sec, but that's fine. And tab again. No, let's not tab it. See, it's when it tries to be helpful and slows you down is the weird part. Rounded, that's nice. And it's got a select box as well. Okay, so it's saving me writing quite a few things here. I don't want it to just rewrite the whole thing from scratch. You know what? I'm turning off cursor tab because it's really annoying sometimes, and it's kind of giving me a bit of one of those where I'm like, okay, let's snooze it. Snooze it for 15 minutes. I'm going to now redo this a little bit. I mean, it's probably fine. And to be honest, I'd probably get away with this. So um, it's got an on-change, it's holding the value. So realistically, yes, I can get away with that. I'm going to actually just close that off there for the select. Uh, Hang on a minute. No, because I need the select to hold uh, all of the tones, and we've got an array of tones. So I want to do like tones dot map over each tone, and each tone I want to grab an option, and I want to give it the key and the value as the option basically. So I think if I can imply the return by literally just giving it those sort of brackets, and then I'll add the option. I'm going to give the option a key, and the key is going to be the tone. But also, other than just the key, the actual content is also going to be the tone. Okay. So now we've got each of the options it's going to put there. Now I can close my select. Yeah. So that will now that'll populate the select with all the stuff, hopefully. And then we want, what else do we want? We want like a button underneath that. So here's where we just shove a button there for now. That was a bit weird. I just wanted a button. There we go. We got a button. On clicking the button, we want to handle the rewrite. So let's do that. Say on click, handle rewrite. Let's call it like we either want it to say that it's rewriting based upon if it's loading, I want it to say rewriting. If it's loaded already, I want it to say rewrite tweet. So that way it doesn't sort of like, just say whatever. We'll say loading, is loading, was it? Is loading. Question mark, and then we'll put a little string of rewriting. Like that. Let's go ellipses. Or if it's else, then we want the string of rewrite tweet. Okay, something basic. We can mess about with the styles in a sec. So the other thing what I want to do is if it's rewritten, then do a little div with the data, with the stuff in, basically. But we'll kind of come to that in a moment, but I just want to see this UI here. It looks a bit weird that it's got, why is it not happy about this? Have I not closed off the div? I think I need to close off the div there. So that div is the select div there. That's its own little thing. Now it should be happy. Yeah. Buttons in its own thing there. Then probably want it disabled if there's like no tweet or if it's loading as well. But I'll play with the disable stuff in a moment. I just want to get something here to kind of have a quick look at. So we've now rewrote app.tsx. Now our hello world is now this weirdly made just thing. Got a drop down with witty, professional, casual, motivational. We've got this little rewriting and it's rewrite tweet. And obviously it's done its thing. If we enter something in here, rewrite tweet, it's technically done it, but we don't have any information back because we'd have to see that data. So now let's write it out to display the data. If there's a rewritten tweet, I want to see it. So for now, I'm just going to do something like if it's rewritten, then we want to render some stuff. Yeah. So if it's rewritten, I want like a div. I want the div to contain a paragraph saying rewritten text, rewritten tweet, maybe. Is that what it was? Yeah. So rewritten tweet, and then another paragraph holding the actual rewritten stuff. Yeah. Now let's do that, and then we'll kind of style it afterwards. Here's a rewritten version of motivational tone. Believe in yourself. Today is a new day. I don't want it to hold here's a rewritten version of motivational tone. So there's that. I need to think about how I'm going to sort of approach that, because it kind of, I'll say only show the tweet text, not anything else or something. I'll have to do a little bit of prompt engineering on that for the system prompt then. So actually, where's that system prompt? Let's edit that, because that looks like it's you're a social media expert. You will only show the rewritten tweet content. Keep it concise. Let's see if that works. Let's do that. Rewrite tweet. Believe in yourself. You got this. Yeah. So there we go. We've got it rewriting. Let's do it as a I am a fish. Rewrite tweet. Making waves in the ocean. I'm a fish and I'm thriving. Fish life. Motivation. Okay, let's do a casual one. Rewrite tweet. I'm a fish lol. Okay. We've done the motivational. Let's try a professional. I'm currently exploring opportunities in aquatic environment. And witty. Hooked on being a fish, apparently. Okay, so we're getting some sort of rewrites. It's not very well sort of styled, but we've got functionality. Okay. So now it's just a case of playing about with the actual sort of look of it. And what I'll do, I'll move that out of the way. I'll move this over here. We're only really working in the app.tsx file, aren't we? So I'm going to move that also. Try and make that a bit bigger so we can see a bit more. So what else do I need to do? I need to just style this basically in different ways. A couple of things I want to do. The button's going to need some sort of styling. Yeah. So I want to do that. I also want it to be disabled when it's not seated as well. So I want that to exist. So I think here I might sort of pop it onto a few lines so I've got space to write the thing. So I'll just do this. That's that one there. Bring that back. Bring that down there. Right, so I want it to be disabled conditionally. So I want to say, if there are no tweets, not tweet, yeah, or if it's loading. So it is loading. Yeah. So it's disabled if there's no tweets or if it's loading. So that's that. Next, I want to think about, okay, I want to give it some class names and give it some styles. So class name. Do I want to? I don't need to do any programmatic ones, so I'll give it literally. Let's think. I want a grey background for now. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't. We can play with this. Make maybe a green background. What can I make it? Let's give it a bit of padding for. Let's make a width full. Make sure. I'll make it blue. PG blue 600. Text white. Let's say semi-bold for the font. So font semi-bold. Let's think. I want a bit of padding. So PY of 2, PX of 4. So we've got a bit more width and height. Rounded. Large. When we hover, I want it to change color a little bit. You know, just the what's it? So hover. BG blue. We'll say 700 for this one. Let's say. And when it's disabled, I want a bit of like an opacity change. Let's do that. Let's save that and take a look at our button. We've now got a nice little blue button that goes a little bit darker on when we click. When I click there, it disables and says it's rewriting. That's good. So that's a start off. We've got something there for that. I want to kind of do a similar sort of concept of adding a bit more to this sort of thing. Thinking on what sort of thing I want it to look like. Let's have a think. So for the select, let's go and do some other stuff. We've got a P2, we've got a border, we've got a rounded MD. I'm going to give it like a grey border and give it no outline, I think. Yeah. So I'll say border grey, let's say 300. And we'll say focus. And then when it's focused, outline none. So now, if I click on it, it's not going to kind of do a weird one and give me a bunch of junk. So it's a nice and simple, cleanish look to it. Now, the div, what I want to hold this in, it's currently set to flex, flex col, gap 4. I don't care too much about that really. So I'm going to leave that as normal flex to see what that looks like first. Okay, we've now got that and that. That looks a bit meh. I don't know, maybe. Maybe I want to set a label to this and other things. So I've got the tone label and stuff, remember? Because we did that in the drawing. So yeah, I think I might want that on another line. If we do like an item center, maybe. I think item center. Do I want another div for this? Let's give it a gap 3, a little bit less. That's it. Let's make this big and see what it looks like. Do we want it all on that end? Do we want this squished in, or how do we want to kind of approach this really? You know what? I'm going to kind of make this a bit different. The div, what I want to do, the gap 3 and all that, I think I'm going to just do that on the tone and the select. And then what I'll do is I'll have an outer div for the overall thing. Yeah, that way it's a bit not going to be the entire page all the time. Yeah, I think that makes sense. So what I'm going to do is make another, instead of like a instead of this, I'm going to make this into a div, give it a class name, and close that as the div there. So let's think of what it is that I want to do. So let's say I'll give it a max width extra large. Yeah, width extra large, not large. I'm going to say MX auto to center it. Padding of 6, let's say, and a space Y of 6 as well. There we go. We've got a little bit more of a squidged in and done thing. So now it's kind of, if I bring this bigger, it's still centered. Okay. Next, I think I'm going to kind of maybe redo this because I don't want it to be underlined and stuff at this point. So let's have a think. I still, let's say it's 2XL instead of 3XL, a little bit smaller. Let's say I do font bold's fine. I don't need the underline. What I'm going to say is text center. There we go. So that's now centered nicely. We could do like a little icon there or whatever we want if we wanted, but that's fine. Then we've got our text area, which is great. And then we've got our div with the flex items and all that. But our text area, I think I'm going to play with and make it a little bit my own. So width full, padding, let's a bit more padding, let's say. Let's say I want a border. Instead of rounded medium, I'll do rounded large. Let's think what else. make a bit more of a border for it. Let's say it's got a color of border, so border gray, say 300. A little bit lighter border, so it's not like in your face too much. Same sort of thing. I want to outline none for the focus. I also want to give it a ring and maybe a blue sort of, when it's focused. So for now, I'll give it, oh, look, focus outline on exactly what I wanted, but I also want a focus ring. And then the color of it will be focus ring blue. Maybe yeah, blue 300 again. So now when I click it, we have that nice little blue outline. Yeah. So that's fine. So next step is doing we've got this div with the select. So what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to have the text area there, and I'm going to bring this down to the start of the select. Save that. So now they're on a separate thing. Yeah. I want like a label here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put a label. Give that a class name itself. Select tone. I just want it to say tone. Yeah. So don't actually need a space there. I do want to kind of decide what I'm doing with this. I'm probably not going to do a flex one. Let's just make it small text. Let's think. I want medium font as well. Font. Give it a nice simple sort of thing. There we go. Nice and simple, and it's to the left a bit there. That's good. Again, you can have it as much as you like. You could have this taking up the entire width or whatever you want to do for your design. At the moment, this seems to be okay for me. But again, you make it however you want it to be. You know what I mean? Don't go exactly what I'm doing if you don't want. So now we've got at least a starting point of something. We can obviously resize this and shove whatever we want as our tweet in there. We've got this rewritten. I think a little bit of maybe making this almost like a little card or something looking thing. Maybe a little bit of a background to it, a little bit of border and so on. So I'm going to give this one. This dude's going to have a class name as well, I think. Here we go. Class name is already going. Hey, give me a bit of margin. That's cool. Not what I wanted, but yeah, that's cool. Let's say I go, let's give it a grey background. So BG grey. Let's make it a small amount of grey, like 100, so it's not too over the top. I need a bit of padding. So, padding 4 rounded large. Maybe. Yeah, why not? Let's have a look. That looks all right as a starting point. I do want a border though. Yeah, I want the border to kind of match the rest of it. So maybe that sort of grey 300. And it looks like we've got a starting point for something. Now let's think about the rewritten tweet thing. Again, it's trying to add a bit of, let's let that do its thing and see what this looks like. That's not too bad. Text small, don't really care. Not for that one. This, what does that look like if I could take away the text small and maybe make a text base? Is that any bigger? Yeah, that's a bit bigger. And then maybe a font medium. There we go, nice and chunky. It's like boom, does its nice thing. Again, text small and a font medium for this one. So text small, this one, font medium. Okay. Maybe a margin bottom as well. Let's see what 2 looks like. So all right, that's pretty much a muchness. Let's make it nice and big. That's nice and simple. I think that'll fit nicely on a sort of a phone screen, maybe. Yeah, that should be all right on a phone screen, right? So rewrite tweet. I'm a fish. Let's try. This is my new product. Download it now. http://google.com. It's my new product currently. Let's rewrite it in a professional manner. Introducing our latest innovative download now and experience the few. Yeah, okay, cool. Of industry field. I presume that's for you to kind of fill in. That's cool. So we're able to then take that and then we can post that as a tweet or whatever you want to do. So we've got our basic sort of AI tweet rewriter thing here. That's pretty much it. We could maybe have it so it auto did a bunch of different ones or whatever, but let's look. Hey guys, dropped something new. Download it now. Let me know what you think. Boom. Casual, motivational. Get ready to level up. My brand new product is live. Oh dear. But yeah, so we've got this. It's all there. I'm going to actually have a little play with it. I mean, the app JSON thing's in red, so I don't know what this is moaning about. Let's get rid of some of the moans. Keep it clean. Get rid of the moans. It's having a moan at me for some reason. It's still moaning. Let's save that one and save that one. Just to stop it moaning at me. Stop moaning at me. Why is it still moaning? Force, but it's there. So what? I'm going to close that and open it again. It might just be being weird. It doesn't like that. Okay, let's get rid of that. Save that. Still moaning. Still not happy about it. It's like not happy about anything. It really doesn't like anything today, does it? The node ones. I mean, I don't know. I don't think we really need the node one specifically. But, you know, it's not happy about literally anything at all, is it? But it still runs okay without this node one, to be honest. Because realistically, it's tsconfig JSON and tsconfig app that we're bothered by. I'm going to get rid of the node one purely because it's just an extra reference for something that I'm not going to use in this particular thing. So that's going. It's less cruft. Make sure I've got .env in my get ignore, which I don't think it's got in there, which is interesting. So let's make sure we get a .env in ignore, otherwise we end up pushing up stuff that we don't want to push up. So yeah, I think we're in a good starting position there for this to be just okay. We've got our things. We could break this out into its own sort of oh, what have I broke now? Why did it not like that? Is it actually using that node thing? I'm gonna do this. Run dev and see if it's still broken. Oh, tsconfig. Let's have a look at the tsconfig for a minute. Does it need to have another thing in the references? Oh, hang on a minute. Did I not save it? There we go. Sorry about that. So if we don't have a tweet in there, it's not able to be clicked. Only once we've got a tweet can we click it. When we do click it, it then rewrites sound on the keyboard through. That's cool. Sound like somebody. Oh, awesome. Right, so there we go. We've got this. That's fine. tsconfig. That's fine. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to Control C and then basically do a add. What we're going to call this initial MVP. And then push it up there. So you'll have a nice little copy of it as well. So if I bring this back up to speed, we go back to our things, refresh the page. We've then got a starting position. A couple of things I find would be useful is a README instead of it saying this. So I might just, you know what, I'm going to literally AI generate the README. This will be interesting, actually. Here's how you might want to generate a README if you wanted to. We could go here and close all this stuff off for now. Control L or Command L if you're on a Mac. I'll give it Sonic 37. I'll say, please generate a read need for this project. Clean up README to be bang, delete, save. So I've got empty README there. Let's also do a little bit of housekeeping, and this will now be the AI suite rewriter. Close that. And there's the prompt. Let's bang, and let's see if it generates a nice little README. So it's creating the README. Let's have a look at what it actually does for the README. Shouldn't be too bad. It should be your standardized sort of thing, getting started, blah, blah, talking about Groq, sign up, clone repository. This part needs changing, but that's fine. Let's say decagon dev tweet rewriter. Is that what I actually called it? I don't remember. CD tweet rewriter, blah, 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 npm install, add the M file, blah, 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 blah. Enter your tweet, you want to rewrite it. That's nice and clean. That's simple, to the point, and all AI generated. I didn't have to really write that myself. It's nice and simple. Something where for this sort of thing, I could have took the time and wrote that myself, but why bother if we've got it all here anyway? It's easy enough to do. And this is some of the really good use cases for Cursor. Is at times when you want to kind of get something rapidly up and running with some documentation, some information, and it's a really nice little sort of addition to the thing. Again, I'm going to do another thingy. So let's say updated README. Okay, I'm not gonna deploy this purely because it's front end only Groq Cloud, and I don't want to do that purely because, again, for those things that I said earlier about don't put this into production. I'd separate this out into a back end front end sort of solution for them. It's been awesome as always. Hopefully you enjoyed this, and I'll see you again. Have a great day.